You keep hitting the same ceiling. You know there's
Yep.
things you could be doing or should be doing, but you're not doing them.
Yeah.
And it's happening again and again. Every year you end up, within 10, 20,000 of the same income again and again and again. That is likely shadow. And the
Hmm.
ceiling's on there because of these traits and these characteristics, and they haven't been brought into your consciousness yet. And you can't fix it if you don't know about it.
All right. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Charyse Williams Show. You guys, I'm so excited today because we have a very amazing, incredibly amazing guest. So here's the truth. Here's the truth that most nursepreneurs, entrepreneurs, in fact, don't want to hear. And it is that your income ceiling isn't created by the market. It's created by the parts of yourself that you haven't faced yet. Right? I know you just went, whoa. Your shadow. It's your hidden fears, your shame, and money conditioning. It's often the silent force shaping your business decisions. So today, I'm so excited to introduce you to Chris Kenney. Hello, Chris.
Hi there. Great to be here.
I'm so glad that you're here with me. And you guys, let me just share with you why I'm bringing this conversation into the room. And it's because I see this over and over and over again with so many people, and I experienced it myself. So, and it's around shadow, and really that's why this episode is named how your shadow is really running your business and limiting your income. And so for me, this showed up most, I would say most prevalently when I was whenever I would be on sales calls or enrollment conversations, and I would feel myself shrink. I would feel myself, because in my mind I always came to the conversation with in the back of my mind with the thought of, I don't want to appear greedy. I don't want to appear selfish. And so when it got to the part where it was time for me to quote my fee, I would shrink. And you know that feeling you feel in your body? Like it's like this really weird feeling. Even if you're not able to articulate it, you feel it. And so I know that it's happened to me. And from working with Chris, we worked through that. So we literally worked that for quite some time, actually.
Yes.
And because it's not like you snap your fingers, you learn something today and then everything is done. No, it is a process. And I'm so grateful to you, Chris, for walking me and holding me through that process so that I could do the shadow work and kind of get to the other side, if you will. So, shadow work, for those of you who aren't familiar, and now I'll let Chris explain this a bit more in a second, but it's mindset work, but it's a component of mindset work. So, let me, I guess, formally introduce Chris. I won't do a big long introduction, but Chris Kenney has been coaching high level, high impact entrepreneurs for over 2 years, 20 years now. And he has been absolutely instrumental in the growth and development of my business, hands down, without a shadow of a doubt. If y'all ever hear me say Chris, I'm talking about Chris Kenney. I may not say the whole word, his whole name, but it's Chris Kenney. And and I'll just stop right there because I think that we'll have more conversation around that. But Chris, again, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today
It's a
with
pleasure. It
us.
really is.
Yes, and thank you for bringing this topic, for being willing to share this topic with my audience. So let's just kind of start from the beginning for those that are not familiar with the word shadow or shadow work. What is it? What is
Well,
it?
yeah, shadow is, you have to look at both sides. You have to look at mask and you have to look at shadow. So, mask is the persona that you show to the world, right? It's what you let everybody see. When you're in a regular conversation with someone, you're wearing your mask. You might have a teaching mask, for example, like when you're running one of your classes, you have your mask on and it is the mask of teacher. So we
Hmm.
have various masks, but then we have this thing called shadow. And what is shadow? Shadow consists of, and I want everybody to write this down, the parts of self that we suppress or deny. It's the parts of self that we suppress or deny. That is what makes up shadow. Now, how does shadow get formed? I want to just give an example of how a characteristic of self lands in shadow and then kind of bring that into how that characteristic can impact business. How's that sound? Does that sound good?
Perfect. That's
Yeah.
excellent.
So say you're 4 years old. So we're going to go back to childhood. We're going to make this playful, right? You're 4 years old, and I can say this because I was four, obviously, at one time, but I also have a brother. And so at your birthday party, you're four, and your mom is divvying out the cake. And you, because it's your birthday, you take the big piece, right? Because hey, it's my birthday, I'm taking the big piece. It's my day. I'm putting myself first, and you take the piece, right? Well, then you get reprimanded. For whatever reason, this triggers your mom or your dad. Somebody gets really, really upset. You get yelled at, you get hollered at, you have a temper tantrum, you go to your room, and you make a decision at that moment that whenever you put yourself first, you're not loved,
Mm,
right? So
right.
that characteristic of putting yourself first goes right into your shadow, right? Now you're like behaving in a way from day to day to make sure nobody ever perceives you as putting yourself first because, hey, when you do, you're not loved. You get in
Mm,
trouble. Bad things happen. Mom doesn't love me. Dad doesn't love me. I get grounded. Bad stuff happens when I put myself first. Now it's in shadow. All right. Fast forward 30 years. You decide you want to start a company and you still have this characteristic sitting in shadow that says, whatever you do, make sure nobody thinks you're going to put yourself first. And then you price your services, you massively undercharge.
mm,
Then, as you're delivering your services, you're massively over delivering. Why? Because you're making sure nobody ever sees you as a person that puts herself first. What typically happens is these characteristics get buried in shadow. People don't know what the characteristics are. They just know that there's a ceiling and they keep hitting a ceiling and they don't know why they're hitting a ceiling. The reason that shadow work can get rid of these ceilings is because it gets rid of the moral conflict that's probably subconscious, but it gets
mm.
rid of the moral conflict of expansion.
That is so good, Chris, because I think without us having that level of awareness or even that understanding, we shame and blame ourselves. We try to, and it's like, why can't I get past this income level? Why can't I just do the thing, whatever the thing is that we're wanting to do? Not understanding you're fighting against something that's deeply rooted from way back when you were 3, 4, definitely, probably under 6 for sure, under 7. And now here you are in your 30s or 40s or 50s, and you've carried this with you the entire time. And then and it always shows up. It keeps showing up,
It'll
right?
keep showing up. And
Yeah.
the interesting thing is, every time you have a desire, let me talk about desire for a second because
Okay.
I think I have a really cool I have a really cool perspective on desire,
Sure you
if I
do.
do say so myself. So
It probably is very cool. So let's hear
so many
it.
people have heard this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Desire, de means of, and sire means father.
Mhm.
So for me, desire is of the father. So what does that mean to me? It means if I have a desire, I have that desire because it was put into me by God. It was put into me by the Father. So for me, that gets rid of any guilt that I might feel about wanting more. Because
Mhm.
that's something that people run into as well. They feel they have a good life and they feel some shame because they actually want a bigger life. So
Yeah.
just remember desire is of the Father. What was my reason for bringing this up? What was your original question?
We carry this forward and we don't realize it, and we start to blame and
Yes.
shame ourselves
We shame
because we
ourselves.
don't
We
know
start
this
really, really
piece.
beating ourselves up and we need to pursue these desires. But every time we have a desire, shadow gets triggered. And the reason
Mhm.
shadow gets triggered is because in order to fulfill the desire, we need more of ourselves to actually come online. And the parts that need to come online are the parts that are in suppression. But we don't know what those parts are. So we end up focusing on the wrong things,
Right.
right? And
The
then
marketing,
all
the
we're
strategy, the all the other stuff
right,
that
all
we
the other stuff
external
when
stuff, and that's just all external stuff, right,
it's
Chris?
all the
It's
external
yeah.
stuff, but we haven't addressed the root issue.
Yes.
And the root issue is I feel unsafe when I behave like this. So I'm behaving like this over here. Because
Hmm.
what happens is there's usually a massive overcompensation.
Yeah.
So when we talk about, when you talk about greedy, right? You wanted to make sure nobody ever saw you as greedy.
Or
So my
self,
guess is
yeah.
you were massively overcompensating to the other side, and you were being way too not greedy or way too selfless to the
Mm-hmm.
point of almost your demise. And
Yeah,
it's like,
really.
and it's not, we think we're being noble by doing that or something.
Yeah,
But if we are sabotaging our business at that level, we run the risk of going out of business. And if we go out of business, nobody gets the transformation that we have to offer.
right.
So I think that's really sad and that's really, really unfortunate. You will impact more people in a positive manner by being a full expression of all
Mm-hmm.
you are called here to be. That's when your revenue is the most, and that's when you have the biggest impact. That's my true opinion. But again, this is running under the surface. This is not something that people are aware of.
Yeah,
And they're focusing on, different systems. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say we don't need systems because we do need systems.
absolutely.
We need to know how to sell. We need to know how to generate leads. But if we have created a ceiling on ourselves that we're unconscious of, then we're going to keep bumping that ceiling. We're going to get frustrated. We're going to start beating ourselves up. That starts to beat on our self-esteem, starts to beat on our confidence. We start to see our price points drop. We start to see our
Mm,
confidence drop. We start operating from proving energy.
for sure.
And then, we're obviously putting ourselves in a really bad place and we're not going to have the impact that we're called here to have on the world.
Yeah, I love that you brought in the whole proving energy piece because what would you say is the shadow to that proving energy when people find themselves,
Oh, if they're improving, then
yeah,
their shadow is probably that they're not enough.
yeah,
I'm not enough.
and they're
So
overcompensating.
And they're massively overcompensating, constantly trying to prove, constantly trying to prove, constantly trying to prove. And especially if you're going to mentor people or direct people or coach people or consult people in some area of expertise, proving energy is not converting energy. It's not going to convert sales. People
Yeah.
will pick that energy up and they'll give
Hmm.
you a price objection.
Yeah.
And you'll think, oh my gosh, it's my price, when actually it's the energetic space that you're in.
It is. Oh, that's so good. And I actually just recently did a podcast on that. I think it was last week, in fact. And it's so true. I always say if you find yourself in that proving energy, you've lost the conversation. Like it's a wrap. It's a
Yeah,
wrap.
it's a wrap. It's gone.
Yeah. And so to prevent that from happening, if you find yourself, those of you who are listening or watching, in fact, if you find yourself, always in the convincing energy, you know what it is. It feels yucky. You're doing all the talking. And literally you are convincing them to work with you. Again, you might as well just walk out the room or hang up the call, hang up the phone, click leave meeting on the Zoom, however it is that you're conversing with that person. So if you find that you're constantly in that shadow, shadow is what needs to be addressed.
That's correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really, really correct. Like if let's look at another term, I wrote down authoritative. And the reason I wrote down authoritative is because if you really want to like claim your worth, you have to be willing to claim your authority
Yeah.
in the space, right?
Absolutely.
And let's go right back to childhood. Say, you were the older brother or older sister and you were constantly exerting your authority over your peer, your brother or your sister, and you got reprimanded for that,
Hmm.
you learned that whenever I take authority, bad things happen. I don't get
It's
loved,
unsafe.
so
Yeah.
on. Authoritative goes into the shadow. Then you come in 30 years later, you want to open a business, but you have authoritative suppressed.
Hmm.
And now you're not willing to take your authority. So you're over explaining, you're improving energy because you're not willing to step in and own your
Right.
authority, own your intelligence, own your value completely because in your shadow, you think that if I'm really authoritative, people aren't going to like me, they're not going to love me, they're not going to accept me. So authoritative is now sitting in exile, and that is when we talk about, the desire causing new parts of yourself. You need new parts of yourself to fulfill the desire. Authoritative might
Hmm.
be something you need to pull out of suppression. And you need
Yeah.
to learn, you need to recondition your relationship with authoritative. And
Yeah.
that's super, super, super important.
Indeed, it is. And the really interesting thing about this, we don't consciously think these things. We don't like, I think I'm afraid of my authority. I think I'm afraid of if stepping into my authority. We don't consciously think any of these things. We don't consciously think, I don't want to be greedy. No, it's running under the surface. It's running in our subconscious, and it always gets revealed. It will. You can't outrun it. Have
No,
you ever tried to outrun your shadow before, Chris, when you were a kid?
yeah, well, yeah, guess
Guess what?
what?
Yeah,
If the sun is still there, so is the shadow. So
that's right.
anyway, so no, you're not going to outrun it. Um, and like I said, for most, it's running outside of their awareness. And it's so
Hmm.
darn unfortunate because there's a lot of really, really brilliant people that are not
Yes.
operating at their full capacity.
Yeah.
And we all see the state of the world right now. We need help. We
Yes.
need support. There's so many different types of crisis going on in the world,
Yeah.
and your people have services that can really
Hmm.
help people feel good, help people feel better, help people get vibrancy back in their life, so on and so
Right.
forth. It's like it's needed. So if the people that are in the helping profession, this is one of the reasons why I'm very passionate about this. If the people in the helping profession aren't getting help, then we run the risk of losing a lot of the people that are in the helping
Right.
profession. They'll go out of business. And then what state is the world in? It's worse.
Right. It's worse.
So this
And
is a big deal to me.
it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal because, to your point, everything that's going on in the world, if we're constantly consuming that, whether it's through the news or just conversations with friends or colleagues or in the break room, wherever the case is, or whatever the case may be, it's affecting not just us mentally, it's affecting us emotionally. Our every cell in our body hears and feels the angst, the fear, the all the stuff that's being thrown at us, and of
Yeah.
course, it shows up. It literally manifests as dis-ease. And to your point, Chris, if the healers aren't aware of their shadow or shadows, then those people don't get the support
Yeah, they
that they
don't.
desperately
And it's such a good point when you say it's the healers. That hit me. It's like, oh my God, the healers need the help. And it's
need.
true.
Yeah.
And it's shadow is like, if you think of it as you've got all these traits that you're trying to keep hidden. So
Hmm.
let's just have a fun analogy for a second. So let's say everybody, first of all, everybody has a mask and everybody has shadow. Everybody has these things. It's just about getting aware and what do you do about it, right? So
Hmm.
nobody's broken because they have shadow.
You're
But
human. You're
we
human.
talked about, yeah, you're human. We
Yeah.
talked about two traits that can really impact business, putting yourself first and this trait of being authoritative. It's like if you're trying to keep those hidden, imagine carrying grapefruits, right?
Mm.
You've got these grapefruits. These are the characteristics that you want to keep hidden, and you have to keep them on your body, but you got to make sure nobody can see them. So you're carrying all of these traits that you're trying to keep hidden,
Yeah.
and it's exhausting. And think
Yes.
about it. You think about this whole thing. You think about imposter syndrome. You know what that really comes down to? People won't love me if they know the truth about me.
Yeah.
But if you love yourself because you have reconciled all of these characteristics that are in shadow,
Yeah.
then it doesn't matter what other people think because you have reconciled and come to terms with yourself and with who you are. And I don't want people running around loving only parts of themselves.
Yeah.
Like if full self-esteem comes when we love ourselves, both the good, quote unquote, and the bad, quote
Yeah.
unquote, in quotes. Because
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Like we got to love our whole damn self
Right.
because I always tell people this: you'll never perform at a level that exceeds what you believe about yourself. So if you've got all these
Say,
characteristics,
Chris, I want you to say that again.
you will never perform at a level that exceeds what you believe about yourself.
Yeah.
Building belief in self is about revealing these characteristics that you think will cause people not to love you,
Yeah.
getting them out of the shadow. And then you start loving these parts of yourself. You start revealing these parts of yourself and you experience healing from that. And that starts to massively elevate your self-esteem, and it starts to massively elevate your self-confidence. And when that happens, it affects your business performance. It'll affect your friendships. It'll affect your relationships. It'll affect your marriage if you're married. It'll affect your partners and how you relate in relationship, both intimate relationship and outside of intimate relationships. It will affect your pricing. It will affect how you package yourself. It'll affect how hard you work, the amount of hours you work for the money that you make. It will affect all areas. I could pop right out of my chair, because it's like this process of understanding shadow, becoming aware of shadow, developing an understanding of your shadow, and reconditioning your view of these characteristics. It will create self-love. It will create self-confidence, and it will create a massive, massive, massive shift. Now, I want to say one more thing, because as I was saying that, this came up.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will worry about this because they don't want to ever be perceived as arrogant.
Oh, I was going to say that a second ago,
Right?
Chris. Oh my God.
Arrogant.
Yes.
Oh, what if I
Yes.
become arrogant because I love
Yes.
myself?
Right.
Listen, there's a huge difference between confidence and arrogance.
Absolutely.
And I want to share that. Confidence says, I'm good at something. I'm good at this, right? I'm confident in this. I am very confident in my ability to work people through shadow. I am very confident. Confidence says, I'm good. Arrogance says, I'm good and you're bad.
Yeah.
That's arrogance. So as long as you're not making other people bad because you're good, then you are just confident. And confidence, look, it's when you think about your impact on the world, this is not about ourselves. This is about the impact we can have on the world. And the impact we can have on the world when we are operating from a confident place, the impact is tremendously higher. So it is not at all selfish to develop confidence, because you can change the freaking world when you're coming from a confident place, and you will likely struggle if you are massively trying to build confidence. If you're just trying to show up and trying to be big and trying to prove.
Yeah. Or if you take on the air of arrogance.
You take on the air of arrogance,
absolutely.
Which would be an overcompensation.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I want people to think I'm confident. So you go way too far and you end up getting perceived as arrogant, because it's not, you're not being authentic. Correct. Because the truth is, you don't freaking love yourself.
Yeah.
And if you did, you wouldn't have to love yourself at the expense of other people.
Yeah. You have said so much, Chris. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why I work with Chris. This is why I've chosen to work with Chris over and over and over again, for this very reason. And this is why I don't think anyone could have the conversation that we're having right now in the way in which we're having it. No one can do it other than Chris. I'm just going to say that, hands down, hands down. And that's not, again, that's not, I'm not just saying that. I have done this. Yeah, I'm not blowing smoke. I have done this work with Chris. And it's shifted everything. When you talked about, when you're about to come out of your seat, I was about to say, amen. when you were talking about how
we did invite God into the space. So
we did, always. But when you were sharing how it affects business, your sales, relationships, everything, every piece of your life, it affects it. And again, I stand here, hands up in the air. Yes, you're absolutely right. Living proof of that. I would say, just in terms of business, I'll just speak in terms of business. Again, because I was massively overcompensating, because I didn't want people to think I was just in it for the money, or the greedy piece of it. I would always shrink. And then once we did this work together, Chris, I was able to confidently state my fee, confidently, not arrogantly, but confidently state my fee, not shrink, and get what I asked for. And not once, not twice. I mean, this turned into hundreds of thousands of dollars. Seriously.
One trait in suppression can cost a person 7 figures.
Oh,
it can.
Yeah.
And the problem is, again, they don't know that they're being run by it.
Yeah.
They go, something's off. I don't know what it is. Or some reason you keep hitting the same ceiling. There's things you could be doing or should be doing, but you're not doing them.
Yeah.
And it's happening again and again. Every year you end up, within 10, 20,000 of the same income again and again and again. That is likely shadow. And the
Hmm.
ceiling's on there because of these traits and these characteristics, and they haven't been brought into your consciousness yet. And you can't fix it if you don't know about it.
That's right. That's right. And I think this is a perfect time to share. We have purposely put something together for you guys. We've talked about what shadow is. We've talked about how it shows up. We talked about how it affects your income. We talked about how it affects your relationships. We've talked a lot of things. We talked a lot of things about shadow. But what we haven't quite unpacked yet is, okay, what do I do about it? How do I fix this shadow thing? And we're actually sharing that in a masterclass. Say we, actually Chris is sharing that in an upcoming masterclass. It is called, first yourself, Breaking the Entrepreneur's Glass Ceiling, a masterclass on the subconscious mind, the neuroscience of income ceilings, and the money mindset strategies of the ultra successful. You guys, I'm going to put that down in the show notes. I do realize it's a mouthful, but it's going to be, if you found this episode impactful and you're like, oh my God, I need to know more about this. This is the first time I'm hearing about it. Or perhaps you're like, I've heard about this, but I've never known what to do about it or what to do with it. And I know that I'm hitting those same income ceilings. I know that I'm every year after year, no matter what I do, strategy wise, sales, like no matter what, you can't seem to um, outperform where
Yeah.
your current place, right? Where you're landing every single year. Be at the masterclass, you guys. It's going to be transformative. It's March 16th. It's on a Monday at 6:30 p.m. Central, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Again, I'll put the link in the show notes. Get yourself registered for it. It's a free masterclass, you guys. This, the I don't know if it's a Bible verse or if it's just a saying. The truth shall set you free. This will set you free.
Yeah, it will. And during the master class, like the first thing that people need to know. So we're going to talk again about what is mask, what is shadow. We're going to go a little bit deeper on that
Mm-hmm.
topic. And then the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to actually teach you how to access your shadow.
Oh, nice.
That's the first thing, because again, there's three phases to fixing this. There's the awareness phase. You have to become aware of the shadow, aware of the different traits and which ones are having a significant impact. Then you have to develop an understanding of how it's impacting you, where it's impacting you, what parts of your life is it impacting you. And then there's a reconditioning process that will allow you to reintegrate these characteristics. And I'm going to cover all of that in the masterclass. And the masterclass is March 16th. 6:30 p.m. Central, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be covering this topic for an hour. I'm going to do a lot of teaching. There's going to be some interaction. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm super passionate about it. And I just
Yeah,
hope that you will give this to yourself. This is complimentary, and it's going to be transformative.
for sure. Hands down, no doubt. So I'm excited about it, Chris. Um, so before we wrap up, like I
Yeah,
said, we've covered so much. How about a little rapid fire? You
I'm
game?
ready. I'm
All
ready. I'm ready.
right, let's start with something easy.
My
First that
favorite
comes to
soup
your,
is Italian wedding.
okay, there you go. I'll have to add that to my list of questions. All righty. First question is, who was your childhood celebrity crush?
Oh, gosh. I would probably, you know what? I'm gonna go back to my first, probably I'm dating myself. I'm embarrassed. Probably Farrah Fawcett. Yeah, I
Oh
liked Farrah
yeah.
Fawcett. I was really
Yeah.
into Farrah Fawcett. Yeah, yeah, it was Farrah
That's
Fawcett.
cool. Farrah Fawcett. Did you have posters on your wall as a kid?
I wasn't much of a poster guy, but
Yeah.
I thought she was really, really hot. And I also thought Sandra Bullock was super hot. And
Huh, okay.
that was a little bit later on.
Yeah, yeah.
Sandra Bullock in the movie Speed,
Oh yeah, yeah.
girl was fine. I was
That's
like,
so,
anyway, so loved it.
I love it. So Farrah Fawcett, Sandra Bullock. Got
Sandra
it.
Bullock.
I was the girl who had posters on the wall. I had New Edition, Bobby Brown.
Oh gosh,
Yeah,
yeah,
like every there was hardly any white space on my walls.
right, right.
So yep. So okay, next question. If you were stuck on a deserted island, what's the one
Mm.
thing, not person, what's the one thing you would absolutely have to have?
The first thing that came to me was water. Um,
That would be important.
yeah, water. And you know what? I think books. because
To burn them to keep warm, or to read to keep your
I'd want to
mind
read to
stimulated.
keep my mind active, and
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and keep learning, even though I was in this particular predicament.
got it. So water and books. That's a good one. Okay, cool. What would you say has been the biggest risk you've taken?
My biggest risk, um, yeah, this isn't it's emotional. I think my biggest risk was leaving my marriage.
Mm,
And I look back, and although it hurt and it was the most challenging, hard season of my life, I feel in my heart and in my soul that it was best for me. And I also say with a lot of love and respect for my ex-wife, even though it hurt at the time, I also believe in my heart and in my soul it was best for her. But
yeah,
it was by far the biggest risk I've taken. It just completely uprooted my life. It uprooted my business. It uprooted my home. It uprooted my whole beingness.
everything.
And it took a
Yeah,
lot for me to come back from that, but I don't regret it. But it was a big risk.
yeah.
And it's not because I don't value her or I didn't love her or anything like that. It was just like this is lacking the substance that I think we both want and desire.
Hmm.
And I want more for you and I want more for me. So I stepped away, and it hurt like hell. But here I am, and I'm respectfully, I'm grateful because I think it was the right choice.
Yeah. I'm curious. This is a follow-up question to that. You said, everything was kind of uprooted.
Yeah.
What has emerged? What has been birthed now that you're on the other side of that?
Well, I mean, I think it's the old you got to break down to break through.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I feel like I fell apart, I fell apart. And I had to rebuild, and rebuilding myself from a place that I was fully aligned has
Hmm.
been one of the most transformative things I've gone through. My work has been impacted in a positive manner. My living situation, I'm in a very loving, healthy relationship right now. I've become a stepfather. I mean, because this was almost 6 years ago, the
Hmm.
divorce. So I've rebuilt my life, and I'm engaged to be married, and I'm a stepdad, and I love my family. I feel like the things I value have shifted. I think I was very focused um, on money and stuff, and it's like it doesn't mean I don't still love to earn. I still love to earn, and I do really well. But my main priorities are love in my
Hmm.
life, and I like freedom. I like love, and I like freedom. So I haven't built a business that will compromise either one. And
Yeah.
when I work with clients, I do the same thing. It's like, hey, what do you value? And let's build a business that's aligned with what those values are. And if freedom
Yeah.
is one of them, we don't want you working 70 hours a week. So let's build a business that doesn't cause that. So I
Yeah.
just think I've got a totally different value system. And I just think I'm a lot more full of love
Yeah.
than what I
I love
was
that.
then. And I'm valuing family, and I'm not. Again, I love earning, but I'm not focused on the superficial. I'm
Yeah.
focused on the loves that are in my life, the people in my life, the relationships in my life, and that's new for me. I was all
Hmm.
work, 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 and I'm not like that anymore.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. And I will say, I think that's probably one of the reasons why we continue to do work together is my top three: love, freedom, and fun. That's it.
Yeah,
As long as I got those three, I'm good. I'm
you're
pretty
in pretty
good.
good shape. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So I love that. We'll lighten it up a little bit. And again, I appreciate just you just speaking freely and just being very vulnerable and just sharing, just
yeah.
sharing.
It's just truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here for that. And my hope is that somebody hears this and they
Hmm.
pull inspiration from it in some way.
Yeah.
Um, and they don't have to do what I did or anything like
Right.
that, but maybe it hits them in a certain way and it causes a positive change for them.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Two more questions.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. What is one of your guilty pleasures?
Oh man, it's ice cream.
Why did I know you were going to say that? And we have never had an ice cream
Oh
discussion ever.
my God, I love ice cream, man.
What
Like if
kind?
any kind. I mean, I think my favorite ice cream right now is I got to blame my daughter for this. My daughter turned me on to Moose Tracks,
I've
which
never
is
heard of
like
that.
it's like chocolate fudge swirl
Oh my
with
gosh.
Reese's peanut butter, little teeny Reese's peanut butter cups in it, and
Oh my.
chocolate fudge. It's like a
That
total,
sounds decadent.
it's like a total party in your mouth. And I can't, I'll start to eat it, and it's one of those things where if that is in the house, I can't just have one bowl of it. I'm like a two
Yeah.
bowl guy, and it's like
Yeah.
that's why I just don't bring it into the house.
Yeah. Where do you get this?
Or
Is this already like made or you
yeah,
go
it's
to
in
the
it's in
Oh,
the grocery store. They
what
sell
brand
it.
is it? Is Moose
It's called I couldn't tell you, but
Oh, okay. So
it's
tell us
just
the name of the
Moose
flavor.
Tracks.
Moose Tracks.
Moose Tracks.
Asking for a friend.
I'm just
I'm
asking
gonna
for a
go
friend,
look.
of course.
I'm gonna go look for
But
Moose
yeah, that's
Tracks.
my favorite guilty pleasure without a doubt. And it was funny, like my current partner, my fiance Julie, she when we were first hanging out, I'm in decent shape, right? So she's seeing me as this fit guy, we were still at that stage where I was sending her like gym pics and all that stuff, you know what I mean? So the first time she saw me eating ice cream, she said I looked like I returned to like being 6 years old. I mean, I literally ate it
Container.
the
Yeah.
container. I'm sitting here and I'm shoveling because I hadn't had ice cream in a really, really long time. And she said, let's
Yeah.
do something, something indulgent. And I shoveling ice cream down my throat. So anyway, I love ice cream.
That sounds really, really good. I'm gonna go look for some moose
It's
tracks.
tracks, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's interesting. I asked someone that question before, and I'm just curious to hear your take on it. I asked her what's her guilty pleasure, and she said, I don't think pleasure is guilty. And I thought,
Mm.
what are your
It's
thoughts on that?
it's a well, I mean, it's only guilty if it's going to be guilty based on what you make it mean.
Yeah,
So, I mean, it's going to be your perspective. What story do you attach to eating the ice cream? And the story that I attach to eating the ice cream is if I eat too much of this, I'm going to get, I'm going to gain a whole bunch of weight, and that's outside of what I want for myself.
hmm,
So, I think if I'm doing too much of it, it is something that I will feel guilty about, but
yeah,
everything in moderation.
yeah. Totally agree. Totally agree. All right, cool. Last one. We'll bring it home. What is the best compliment you've ever received?
Oh, wow. This is, yeah, it's that I'm authentic.
Digital
I think
authentic. Yeah,
authenticity because, you know what, in this industry, I've been in this industry 18 years and I'm bothered at times when people aren't walking the talk.
yeah. Hmm.
And that's upsetting to me. I take a lot of pride in teaching things that I've done on myself and I've used to elevate myself. And I don't want to throw a whole bunch of judgment out, but when somebody says, Chris, I can feel your authenticity,
Yeah.
I love that because that's one of the things that I'm putting out into the world. And I know this has gone a little bit on the deep side, but for
That's okay.
me, in this world, I have used my pain as a source of teaching.
Mm,
The my pain around my childhood, my pain around growing up in the hood and not having any money, not having a pot to piss in, mom being on welfare, living in a drug house. I can go on and on
hmm.
and on and on. And when I'm working with clients and what I'm teaching is what were the skills and what were the mindset hacks that I used to pull myself out of that environment. I
Yeah.
was taught that rich people are assholes. I was taught that rich people can't be trusted. I was taught you can't be rich and get into God's kingdom. I was
Hmm.
taught all of those things. And in spite of that, I'm here. And it's because I feel that I have learned, I have studied my ass off. I've had real life experience. And when I'm teaching, that's what I'm bringing in. So authenticity is so damn important to me.
I love it and totally can feel that as well. And what I'm hearing is turning your pain into purpose.
Turning it into purpose, make your mess
Yeah.
your message, make
Yeah.
your mess your message. And
I love it.
whenever I have peaks and valleys in my life and in my business, you can go on and you'll see there's Chris. Talking
Yeah.
about what's going on
Yeah.
and,
But
and
that's, I think, what
sharing.
makes it so impactful, Chris. Again, you're not
uh,
talking, not theory, not something you learned,
no,
something that
it's
you
real stuff.
experienced and grew through. And
Yeah.
now you're imparting the lessons learned, like you're extracting the lessons from those life
Yeah.
experiences. Yeah.
You've heard the term win or learn
Yeah.
mentality. Win or learn.
Absolutely.
You're either winning or you're learning, and you've got to take these experiences. I believe that God puts these experiences in front of us because we need these learnings.
Agreed.
And I
Yeah,
just feel like if I handle something and I learn and I grow and I evolve, I feel like it's my divine responsibility to share it and teach with it. That's
I
just
do
how,
too.
how I feel about it.
I do too, and I love that you have that perspective,
Thank you.
that you do exactly what you just said. So, Chris, this has been an honor. This has been so much
Oh, it's
fun.
been great. Your energy's fantastic. You're a good
Well,
interviewer.
thank
This
you.
was super fun. I hope it was valuable for you. I hope it was valuable
Yeah.
for your audience and everybody. I hope you'll join us on March 16th,
Yep.
6:30 p.m. Central, 7:30 Eastern for our Shadow Masterclass. It is entitled, here it comes, Breaking the Entrepreneur's Glass Ceiling. And then there's a long tagline. It's a master class on the subconscious mind, the neuroscience of income ceilings, and the money mindset strategies of the ultra successful. We created the master class within the last 30 to 40 days, but we just named it. So we haven't quite memorized the name yet. So we apologize for that, but that's the
No,
name.
but listen, they're clear on what it is.
It is. They know.
And that's the point. So
That's the
we'll
point.
see you guys. We'll see you all on March 16th. Get yourself registered. We'll make sure that the team links the registration link down below in the show notes. And with that being said, you guys, again, thank you, Chris.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Great to be here.
And thank you for listening and for watching. And as always, I love you. I appreciate you. And I will see you next time on another episode of the Charyse Williams Show. Bye for now. Before you go, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's coming next. This show is for nurses, nurse practitioners, and clinicians who are ready to practice, lead, heal, and live differently. If this podcast resonates with you, a quick review helps the right people find their way here too. And if you want to take this beyond listening, I'd love to personally invite you into the Quantum Leap community, our free Facebook space where this conversation continues and you don't have to figure it out alone. You'll find the link in the show notes below. I'll meet you there.